Okay, hello everyone and happy Monday. We have the leg day coming at you hot today. Our body strength and our core today. For equipment, you see it, we're going to use it. This chair right here will come into play when we get into our strength stuff, as well as underneath the chair I have 8-pound dumbbells, and then hidden behind them are these loop bands for those of you who do not have dumbbells and or. The other thing that we will need is our mat. And that's it, our body. And we're actually going to get down and start on the mat right into our 90-90 position. So you can go ahead and have a seat down on the floor. Join me down here and get yourself here. So we have 90 degrees at both of our knees. We want to lock the heels in place. We're going to flip the legs over to one side. If you need to lean back to make this feel comfortable, that's okay, without knocking out the air freshener on the wall. We're going back and forth 10 times total. 5 on each side. The goal eventually, as per I'm always talking about it, is to do this with no hands and without leaning back, without the use of the arms. But, you know, we're pretty tight at this time in our lives, at this hour of the day. So if you need to lean back a little bit, that's fine. We're going to do 10 of those. And then we will lay on our back for the next one. We're talking all the way down on our back. We want to make sure that we have some space on either side. So we're just going to do a little scooch over to one side. We're lifting up one leg, grabbing that knee with opposite hand, exhaling and pulling that knee all the way down as close to the floor as we can. Not too worried about touching the floor right away. We'll put that guy back down, lift up our other side here, again, grab that knee, exhale, trying to breathe out, and again, see if we can get that knee close to the floor while keeping this opposite hand down. That's 2. We're going to do 10 of these total to make it 5 on each side. So again, that breath is important, that we are exhaling as we try to bring that knee down. Hopefully feeling a little looser than last day, although again, this is the first couple movements, so we're probably still feeling a little tight. So we'll go through 10 of these. Again, not stressing out or forcing anything to get that knee down to the floor. 10 total, 5 on each side, and then we are going to stand back up to the top. So once you're finished that one, got that glare hitting me in the eyeballs, we are going to stand back up to the top and get ourselves into a squat stance. So I want to stand a little bit wider than my hips. I have a slight angle out at my toes. I'm going to sit down into a squat and bring both my hands in front of me and try to touch them down onto the floor. And then we're going to stand and reach over to one side. While I do that, that foot towards the opposite side I'm reaching is going to pivot, pushing my hips towards that side. And then we're going to sit back down into the squat. And then we'll stand and reach towards that opposite side. That's 2. We're doing 10 of these total. So we're shooting up onto that toe, pushing the hips so that we turn towards the side. We're reaching our hands upward and alternating so that we are doing 10 of these total, 5 on each side. Squat and reach, very nice. So we'll go through these ones, again, sitting as low as we are comfortable with, ideally touching the floor, but again, we can't quite get there, that is okay. So we'll get through 10 of those, and then we are going to turn so that we have some space behind us on our mat. Arms are down by our sides. We're stepping back into a lunge, sending both arms up above our head. We'll start off with 10 of these, standard, 2 arms up, nothing fancy happening at the bottom. Just stepping into that lunge, bending both knees. 10 total, 5 on each side. Breathing through these ones. As we approach the end of 10, we're going to do 10 more with a little twist at the bottom, literally. Going down to the bottom and then rotating in towards that front knee, resetting, and then standing up to the top. So we'll treat this as 2 separate movements. We got the lunge, we have that rotation going on, trying to keep the arms straight, lifted above the head so that you don't see the hands. And we'll go through 10 of these now with, again, just that slight rotation, nothing too crazy happening at the bottom there. Little reach in, reset, back up, 10 of them. There we go. Okay, so trying to involve everything through the mid-back, lower back. Keeping the hips straight. And then, what do we got next on my list? Okay, so we'll get through those ones. Okay, finishing up those. The next one, you need to hold on to something. I'm going to position myself so I'm close to this wall here as we're going to swing the legs forward and backward 10 times in this forward-backward situation. We do want to hold on so that we don't have to think about balance. We're going 10 times, there and back is 1 on this one leg, and then we shall turn, face the wall, and take this into a lateral sideways motion. Same, there and back is 1, same 10 reps total. So we'll go forward, backward, side to side on both legs, and then we'll switch, and we'll do that same thing on the other side. So again, don't worry about what hand you're holding on with. And the most important thing is that we are holding on, so that we don't have to worry about, balancing and falling over and all that. So we'll get down both sides. This one is meant to loosen up the hips, the front, the back, as well as your inner thighs. We'll feel a little bit of dynamic stretching happening in there, outside of the legs as well, on those side to sides. Okay, so we're back down on the floor for the next one. So once you finish up your leg swings, hopefully you feel a little looser in the hips, we're gonna get ourselves down, back onto the floor, onto our back, all the way down. And the next one's all about our core activation, getting all our ab and core muscles woken up, ready to go. We're gonna lift up the legs, lift up the arms. First things first, we'll take the palm and the knee of the same side limbs, and we'll push them together like so. Lower back is tight into the floor. There should be no space underneath that back. Then what we're going to do is take a nice big inhale, and then exhale and try to squeeze our palms and our knees together. Exhaling, holding for 1, 2, 3, and then we'll release, but we're not actually going anywhere. We're gonna stay in the same position. We just don't have that really tight pressure happening. We'll take a breath, and then again, exhale and squeeze, a little shaking happening here. It's all good. 3-second hold, and then we'll release. We're going to do 3 of those total. Okay, so you just did 2. You have 1 more to go. Inhale, exhaling and squeezing those 2 together. We should feel this all up in there. And then just to top it off, what we're going to do is now take the palm and the opposite knee, push those 2 together, and then we'll lower and lift those opposite 2 limbs into this dead bug with this pressure happening between those 2. And now we'll complete 10 on this side, and then we'll switch, and we'll do 10 on the other side. And then, if you weren't feeling your core and your abs, you will be after you complete these ones. Again, it's crucial that this is tight in here. So if I was to come through that spring and try to pull your hand or your knee off of each other, that would not happen because you are making that so tight. Okay, so we'll do this on both sides. 10 on that first side, 10 on the second. Oh yeah, all about that core, which is pretty much foolproof on this one. Okay, but again, if you need that reminder, squeeze the limbs, push the back down. 10 and 10, and then we are getting back up to the top for the last one, which is going to help, again, loosen us up after that one down there. Side lunges is the last one on the menu. So we're going to come over to one side. We'll step out into that lunge, shift the weight back onto that first side, and then we'll stand up towards that opposite side. That's 1, and we're doing 10 of these total. So as we step out to that side lunge, we know the drill with these ones. And I always try to talk about this, how important it is that we're pushing the hips back behind us as we go through these, rather than just kind of sinking down and having the knee drive forward. Makes a big difference if we stick our butts out in terms of where we're going to feel this and the safety of this one. If you're not sticking your hips out, we're putting some pressure in the knees, which we don't want. Okay, so we'll remember to do that. 10 of those total, 5 to each side. Should be warming up. Warm already. Okay, once you're finished these ones, 10 of them, we can grab some water. Woo! And we are going to get you started on the first part of today's session, woo, which is going to use this chair right here. Probably saw that coming. So what we're going to do is set up our chair so that we can use it. I'm going to turn it sideways like this and grab my dumbbells as well as my band out. You know, this band is stuck on the chair leg. There we go. Always. So for our first part here, we're going to get our split squats in, over, and done with. We're going to start off with these split squats with the rear foot elevated. So we're going to have our back foot up on our chair, our bench, our couch, whatever it is For those of you who, again, don't have this and cannot make this an option, you're going to follow along doing the same thing with your foot on the floor, okay? First set, we're starting body weight. So I want you to find yourself your position. We're going to go down and up, 15 reps total, no weights in our hands. Okay, eventually we will add some weight, but this first set, we're going to get ourselves ready, prepared for this movement by doing our first set body weight, all right? So we'll do 15 is our rep range. It's our range to go through on these ones, 15 reps. So again, if you don't have that chair, that bench, we'll follow along doing these guys. And remember, you can always use a stool or a stair in your house instead of a chair if you don't have that as an option. Okay, so 15 over here. And then, of course, we have to do 15 on the other side. Making it even. Okay, body weight. This set, I mean, you're feeling these reps, but this is not the hardest thing in the world, and it's not meant to be, because this is our first set, essentially our warm-up set. Although, you know, 15 is never easy. It's never easy to do 15. So we'll get that going on both sides. And then we are going to crank it up a notch by adding in some resistance. Now today, what we're going to do for these split squats, if you're using dumbbells, we're going to front load our weights. So rather than holding them down where we're used to, by our sides, beside our hips, we're going to front load the weight and hold it up here, which we know makes pretty much every exercise harder because it requires some of that upper body strength, endurance, as well as some more additional core than if we were to hold the weights down here. So I'm going to be using my two 8-pound dumbbells. If you are using bands instead of dumbbells, then we're going to loop that band under your foot, just as we normally do, so that you can get that resistance for your leg. But if you have those weights, we're going to bring them up here. We'll set up that foot, okay, whatever order you feel most comfortable in, and then we'll go down to 90 degrees, standing up to the top, going through 15 reps, holding these weights here, trying our best to not rest them on our shoulders, okay? Remember I said this? First set might not be the biggest deal, but you know, even when you get to the second leg or the next set here, we might be really feeling this and feel the need to sort of rest our hands. So we'll try our best to not do that. So if you cannot hold both your dumbbells, or if you simply just have heavier ones, we can hold one sideways like this or like this, okay, rather than the two. Let's do it. So we're going through 15 on both sides, normal tempo today, no pausing, no slow down, okay? 15 up, 15 down. Sorry, 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down through 15, both sides. And then we are going to do a little something with this one, okay? But we'll let you get through this first set of these two. This one, I should say, on these two legs. 15. There you go. Okay. Whew. So yes, this is going to feel much more challenging than our normal way we hold the weights, because again, we have much more work happening in our core, our upper body, and those two things, plus the fact that split squats are just already hard to begin with, and we're doing them 15 reps, it means that you are probably going to feel this a lot, okay? We are going to pair this with another exercise, and we are completing 3 sets total, okay, which is good news for all of us. You've just done one. Okay, we're going to do the second exercise, and then we have 2 more sets. So for the second movement, I'm going to be using my loop band. It's a medium strength band, and I'm going to take it and put it around my feet like this. Now, if you're wearing shoes, and or if you're in your garage where you're working on like a cement floor or something like that, you can go ahead and bring the band up around your heels like this, because it does tend to sort of break down the band if you're not on a soft surface with socks on, okay? But the way that this is around my feet here, this is going to make this feel much more challenging than having the band around my heels or around my knees or anything like that. So ideally, we want to have the band here. We're going to step out wider, hip width through our lateral side step, going all the way down the length of the mat, trying to keep our feet parallel and never coming closer than hip width apart. Arms are in front of us, hips are being pushed back behind us. All the way to the end and back is 1. We're going to do that 2 times. Okay, so we're really, I probably don't need to tell you this, but we're really gonna, like this placement of the band is too challenging. What you can do is move the band up around our heels like this. And I know it doesn't seem like a big difference, but it does go a long way, okay? So that's going to be our second one. Again, there and back is 1, the length of our mat. We're doing that 2 times, okay? If you do not have the band, we're going to follow along with that same hip hinge, okay? Same side steps, and we will get there, same reps, there and back twice. All right, woohoo! Warming up here. So, do it again. 2 more sets total. So once you're finished, there's no prescribed rest. All right, we're just going to try our best to do it again. Although you might want to just take a couple deep breaths, quick sip of water before you go into your next set. We'll try to hustle, get going onto our second of 3 sets of these ones. So we'll go right back into this first one and loading up those weights in front of us. Back foot is up on our chair or bench, down to 90, and then exhale, standing all the way up to the top. Okay, 15 of them. Oh yes, nothing to say about these. They're hard. Okay, they're gonna feel harder than normal, but we're gonna have such a good time next week when we go back to our normal hold, because this one is so much harder. Okay, and again, only 3 sets total. So try to be as strong as you can here in the second set. There you go. Okay, so 15 and 15. Very, very nice. All right. So we'll breathe through those ones. Woohoo! There it is. Okay. It's hard to say whether or not, like last week we had those pauses at the bottom. This week's normal, no pauses, but we're going way more reps, different hold. Everyone's got a different way to feel things. So again, we'll just try to get through this as much as we can, breathe through this, and trying to hustle between these 2. So once we're finished, we will put those dumbbells down, get this band on, hinge our hips back, and start to work through these side steps. And from the side here, it's really important that we're not just standing up, okay? Because if you're just standing up and you're just doing this, we're not gonna feel much. I mean, you might feel a little burning in the hips, but huge difference, okay? If we hinge our hips back and we feel that tightness in our glutes before we go anywhere, and then we start to move, and we feel every step, every move we make, we're feeling that tension in our glutes and our backside. That is going to make a huge difference on how much you're going to get out of this. And that is something that I cannot help you with, except explaining that position, explaining that feeling. Okay, you're the one who has to find it, all right? And sometimes we might need a little bit more hinge in our hips. We might need to simply just think about it, send that mind to muscle connection there. All right, we have 1 more set. Ooh, and then we are done. The split squats. Getting them done first. Okay. So let's do it. Okay, we'll go right into that 3rd set. Remembering that this is the last one. 3 rounds total. Okay, so we will, again, take a deep breath. We're going to need it to get through this last set. Load up those weights. Set up that foot. And here we go. Through 15 of them. All right, so whatever you got to do to get through your 15 reps. Sometimes I like counting like kind of 3 mini sets of 5, where I count to 10, and then I do 5 more. I don't know why, but sometimes it makes the set of 15 feel a little bit shorter, a little bit less tedious, even though it's still 15 reps. But sometimes it's just our head that gets in the way, and the little techniques help. All right, so we'll finish strong here. We have about 2 minutes, which is really just enough time for us to finish this up. Okay, so we'll do this on both sides. And if you're looking at the bands, we're here. We'll get through our 15 reps, okay? And then we will go right into those side steps for the last set. Now, a quick note on these side steps is the positioning of our feet. If there is even ever so slightly an angle out in our toes like this, You're not going to feel this in the right place, in the sides of our hips. You're going to maybe feel the legs, the sides of the legs, but that's not what we're going for. We want those hips. So we want to make sure that our feet are parallel, okay? Not pointing out like this. And that's going to, again, make a big difference. Naturally, we know our body's always looking for sneaky little ways to make things easier without us even noticing. And that's something that happens as we start to involve the quads in a side step. So check yourself and make sure that you are not doing that. Now, especially on this last, most tired set that we're going to go through. Okay, so we'll get this done. As you come to an end, which is hopefully within the next minute, we're going to grab some water, shake it out, walk it off, celebrate that we are done. Split squats. Not too bad, right? Yes, they were. But they're done now. We don't have to do them again until next day, next week. But we are going to move on to 2 more lower body exercises. And I will start talking about them in about 30 seconds. So as you do come to an end, now is your time to shine and grab some water. Take some deep breaths, because that probably surprisingly got your heart rate up more than you expected. So we'll try to calm down a little bit, and we are going to get ourselves ready, set up, and go in on our second superset. So I'm going to start talking about this second superset, which is going to start off with another single leg exercise. This one is going to be our step back reverse lunge. So we still would like to use our weights, but we're going to keep them down by our sides, which is good news at this point in our lives. So we're holding the weights down by our sides here. We're going to step back into a lunge and then pull ourselves up to the top, driving this knee all the way up to 90 degrees. That's 1. We're doing 10 of these total. So we go down and we want to push our hips back behind us to try to keep our shin as upright as possible. That's going to help us use more through our glutes and the back one on our knee. So that positioning, we'll try to find that. And then again, we'll stand and drive the knee up all the way to the top, okay, which is going to help us with a couple things. Number one, it's going to involve a little bit more through this leg over here. It's also going to help us get to the full extension of this hip. So we want to make sure that it comes all the way up, and 10 on each side. It's going to feel so nice after the 12, or sorry, after the 15. But we do want to make these 10 feel challenging, okay? So really focusing on trying to pull ourselves up and out of that lunge rather than using that back foot to push ourselves. Okay, another thing that you have to kind of do yourself. 10 and 10 of these lunges. So same rules apply. If you do not have the dumbbells, we're going to use that band. And we can go through the band on the same side, and then that way you have room to drive, the balance here, to drive that knee all the way up to the top. Okay, let's do it. 10 and 10. So with this one, we're going to pair this one with some squats. Yes. So I didn't tell you were fully done with front loaded position, because you're not, because this next part we are going to do a front loaded squat. So what we're going to do when we're finished up our lunges, we'll take a breath, and then we'll bring our weights up to the same front loaded position. We want to separate our feet at a slight angle out into our toes. So our feet are a little wider than our hips. Angle in the toes, we're going to sit down into that squat, 90 degrees. We'll come halfway up, and then we go back down, and then we'll stand all the way up. That's 1. We're doing 10. So again, all the way down, halfway up, back down to the bottom, all the way up. That's 2. All right. If you don't have dumbbells, we can bend our knees or grab a household weighted item to hold in your hands. Okay. Then we can do the same thing. 90, up halfway, back down, and then all the way up. So we're doing 10 of these 1.5 rep squats. 10 reps total on these ones, which are another sneaky one that sort of gets your heart rate up. Oh, yes. And we're going to get some work in the core, a little bit of upper body from holding those weights off of our chest and shoulders. Okay, 10 of them. Very nice. And then we shall take a little bit of rest. Okay, so before you start your next set, take some deep breaths. grab some water. We have that 30 to 45-second rest belt right now. We try to keep it under a minute so that we can get through our sets in a timely manner, but we do want to take a little bit of time to allow the muscles in our lower body to rest. Okay, and you probably feel why, because we're working some similar stuff in these ones. Okay, we have that focus of the glutes, the back of the legs, in both lunges and in our squats. So when you're feeling ready, for the next 30 seconds, we'll go into that second set, and we're step back lunges, and we're trying to create that 90-degree angle in our hip, our knee, and our ankle. Okay, so you can do a little shoulder check. Make sure you don't have kind of like this situation going on. We want to come all the way up to the top. And slight balance involved. It's always harder to do when you're looking inside. Okay, so we'll get through these ones 10 and 10. All right. Very good. All right, so we'll get through both legs. Very nice. Okay, then channeling that skater squat energy of trying to pull ourselves up and out of that lunge rather than push ourselves out of the bottom. And then we will hustle in trying to get started on these squats. And all the way down, halfway up, back down, and then we stand to the top. Now these ones, if you want to make these ones a little bit harder, okay, if you feel like they're not the hardest thing in the world to get to the end of the 10, if you feel like you can keep going, what you can do is pause each part of the reps. So we go through that half, the 90, and then we come all the way up. So rather than just hitting those points, like so, if you spend just a little bit of time, just 1 second, 1 second, okay, that is going to make your entire set feel a lot more challenging. Those of us who don't have a variety of weights, okay, or maybe we're not even using weights, maybe we're using body weight or bands, it's a great technique that you can do and you'll feel the difference that it makes. So I think I forgot to say, but we're doing 4 rounds total of these ones. So you're on your second set right now. We'll be going through 2 more rounds of this very fun stuff after this set. Okay, so 10 reps. Woo! And then we will rest a little bit before we start our set number 3. All right, nice work. So again, we're always trying to make these things challenging. When I say that number of reps, that should be really hard. Okay, we shouldn't be thinking in our head that we could do more or that we actually could do more. So what we need to think about, again, on these lunges, no matter what weight you're using, these can be extremely challenging. Again, if we kind of do them like those skater squats and we lift up that back leg before we start to stand up, okay? For some of us, that's almost going to make these feel impossible, okay? But the more you can do that, and the more you can think about that technique of pulling yourself up rather than pushing, the stronger that leg is going to be, and the more of a single leg focus we're going to get, which is the goal here on these lunges. Okay, we don't want to be using that second leg to assist us in pushing us up to the top. And this is your reminder here on your 3rd set to see if you can lock that in. Okay, so let's get this going. 10 and 10. And then, perfect. Let's do it. Right into the squats. Okay, taking our sweet time. The 1.5 rep squats. All right, so we'll slow these guys down. We know anytime we're doing anything strength, the slower we go, the longer it takes us to complete each rep, the harder that set is going to be. Okay, you guys have time with it. We have about 4 minutes to finish this set that you're doing. and to rest a little and to do your final set. Okay, so lots of time if you want to maybe slow it down a little bit towards the end. All right, so once you're finished, we'll grab some water, finish the squats. Woo! Think about how good we feel. Just kidding, we probably don't feel the best right now, but we will as we finish up this superset, the session today. Yes, we always know we feel better when we're done. But never really emo, and that's okay. All right, so again, we'll try to bring her down, going into that final set. Going back into our lunges, trying to really focus on pulling ourselves up, thinking about this glute, the standing leg is the one that's working, okay? Especially as we drive the knee up, we should feel a nice squeeze on this hip, on this glute, through our 10 and 10. Let's do it. Okay. There it is. Okay, so we'll get this on both sides, keeping it even, trying to mimic whatever you're doing on this first side, on your second side. And then we have our final set of our front-loaded squats. Last bit of our front-loaded stuff for today. Okay, so again, going down, coming up, maybe adding those sticking points to our reps if you want to make this final set a bit more challenging. Okay, so spending again a little bit more time. You can even just pick one point to pause at. Okay, you don't have to pause at all three of those points. But if you do, you probably can presume what's going to happen. We'll find out. All right, so we'll finish up strong here. We have about 2 minutes until we should be starting our next part, which is also our final part of our strength. Look at us go. And then it's core time after that. But you already do that. So I already warned you. Powering through this. All right, my friends. So we'll finish up strong. Once we are done, those 10 squats, we're going to grab some water. I say 10 squats, they feel like way more than 10. I know. It's just because that half rep that we're adding into each of them. So once you're finished, we will once again grab some water, try to calm ourselves down a little bit before we go into this final part, which is a tricep. We're going to have 3 exercises paired together, doing them back to back to back, circuit style. We're not taking any rest in the next part between the movements or between the rounds. We're going to need our chair again, as we have 2 variations of a hip thrust coming at you hot to start us off. So we're going to start off with a single leg hip thrust, and then we're going into a double leg hip thrust with the band around our knees. And then we have one more exercise, which is a standing one, which we are going to talk about after we finish these first 2. So right off the bat, bands. Medium to light strength band is really all you're going to need for this, for both of these movements. If you want to make the single leg hip thrust harder, and I'll show you these guys, they look like this, okay? If you want to make these harder, then we can put our band on right away. But if you already struggle with these and find these really challenging, then we can not use the band for the first part, okay? And then what we can do is just put the band on for the second part, or maybe you don't have a band at all and you're not going to use the band, and that's completely fine. But keep in mind that this is going to make this first one more challenging, and I'll show you why and how. So if we are using the band, we can have it just above the knees. My hands are quite dark, but you can see that band there. We're going to hook this chair on here so it can slide away. Position our upper back on that chair, on that bench. Our feet are very narrow. We want to bring ourselves up to the top and do a bit of that crunch, so we have a nice strong top end position. You can feel our glutes, and then we're going to lift up one side, and already you can feel that band and wants to pull your leg down. So you have to keep that leg up, and then we'll go through 10 reps total with our Lexi assistant, and 10 reps over here, and then we'll switch, and we'll do 10 reps on the other side over here, and then we'll go right into the 2 legs for 10 reps total, okay? So again, if you don't have a band, and or if you find single leg hip thrust really challenging, which I understand, Try them without the band, okay? If you don't have that bench or chair, you're on the floor, doing the same exact thing with or without band down here. So 10 over here like this, okay? And then we switch and we do 10 on the other side. And then when we go into the double, again, if you have the band, we'll put it on. We want to have our feet wider, so about hip width or a little wider than hip width apart. Knees are pushed out, and then we go up and down, 10 reps total, with as much pause as we need, as you need, to feel your glutes. So because we just did the singles, you might not even need to pause. You might just kind of go up and down and really feel this back there. But we're not having any weights, so you might want to hold the top position here. Okay, on the chair, off the chair, same rules apply in order to really feel this. Okay, so by the end of the 10, you should be burning hot fire in the hips, needing to take this band off, and then we are going to stand up. So again, 10 singles, and then 10 doubles in that wider stance. Woo! Okay, so once we're finished that, we're going into a loaded side lunge. So I'm going to pick up my weights, get myself set up in this wide stance position, wider than our sumo. We have an angle out in our toes. Weights are in front of us here. We're going to sink the hips over and down to one side, and then stand all the way up to the top. Over and down to the other, all the way up, 10 per side, 20 reps total. So we want to push the knee out so that we don't have the knee caving in at all. And we want to think about this hip on this bent leg pushing us up to the top. We're going to get a bit of sneaky stretch happening in our adductor. Nothing here should be painful. So feel free to play around with how wide, how narrow you are, as well as how much angle is in your toes or out of your toes. Okay, those things can help make this feel a little bit more comfortable. Side lunges. Okay, so 20 total. Woo! 10 per side. Whatever you want to count. And then, my friends, we are doing it again. You probably saw that coming, okay? Now, the nice part here is that we have 2 more sets. We're doing 3 rounds total. You just did 1, so we have 2 more rounds to go. No rest. We're really trying to hustle here. Back into our leg hip thrust. Okay, again, with or without the band. 10 and 10. So same rules apply with that pause. If you want to really feel this a little more, you don't have a band, you can hold the top here until you do feel the work happening on that glute. And then we'll go through our 10. You can switch and do our 10. Okay, and then again, we'll widen up the feet and go into our 10 with the double leg, which we should really feel without having to think about it too much, or hold it too much. Okay, most of us, some of us still might need that pause, but because we have a single leg and then a double leg, we should be getting it going on back there. Okay, so let's get through this second set. Woo! And yes, getting up and down off of the floor is part of the session. It's part of the deal. All right, so we'll get going on our second set of our side lunges. Again, weights are in front of us, and I like to hold the weights like this rather than like this out to the sides, as I find that the weights sort of hit the insides of my knees, whereas if I turn the hands like this, there's lots of space for them to move in and out of there. One thing that we all have to make sure of, again, if we're holding band, weights, whatever it is in our hands, we want to make sure that our shoulders are set behind us. They're not rounded forward like this. Okay, we want to make sure the chest is high, shoulders are being pulled together, and then as we go into that side lunge, just as in the warm-up, we want to push our hips back behind us. Okay, rather than just sinking straight down, very important that you're hinging your hips back, and you'll feel that again much more through the back and side of the hip, rather than around the knees, because that's not what we want. Okay, so we'll go through the second set. Side lunges. Let's do it. Okay, now for some of us, these are going to be much more comfortable than others, and I've often talked about these and sort of broken them down in how they should feel. So all in all, they should feel comfortable, okay? It's not gonna be easy, but you shouldn't feel any sort of sharp, pinchy, aching pain anywhere. So sometimes we get a little pinch in the hips, feeling in the knees. So again, hips back. The other thing is the width. So if you widen up your feet, add a little angle out into your toes, those two things can make a big difference on making this, again, feel comfortable. Still probably a little bit uncomfortable because it's a hard exercise, but it shouldn't be painful or pinchy. All right, so we have one more set to go after this one. There you go. So pull yourself up out of that one. We'll get right back down to our hip thrusts. Singles and doubles. All right, let's do it. Okay, so a little to my rest. We will try to hustle into our final set, our final round of these three. Okay, we got the single leg hip thrust, the banded double leg hip thrust, and then our side lunges. And that's going to take us to the end of our strength work. We just have our core after this, and then we are finished on this Monday. Woo! All right, so we'll get this done. Okay, 10 and 10. Remembering we want to tuck the chin, look down towards our knees the entire time, rather than up to the ceiling or behind us, which tends to sort of flare the ribs. And that's going to apply to the single and to the double. All right, I do encourage all of you to see if you can add a little pause in at the end here. Do not leave the top until you feel that burning work happening in your hips, in the back of your hips. All going to feel that, but some of us, again, just might need to hold it a little longer, think about it a little bit more than others. Woo! It's your last set. So that's good news. Set number 3. Not too bad. Okay, we'll finish up with those side lunges. And while you do that, I'm going to set our timer for our final part, the core, the core, the core. Awesome. Okay, very nice work, very nice work. So let's get these done. Side lunging our way to the finish line of the leg strength. Very nice. Okay. So as we are finishing up that last set of side lunges, once you're done, you can grab some water, and I realize that I'm going to move this chair out of the way. So as we're finished, we are done with our chair, done with our bench. All we need is our mat, some space on the floor, and I am also going to be using one singular dumbbell. So I have my 8-pound dumbbell. I will be using one of them. Again, if you don't have a dumbbell, you can use pretty much anything to hold in your hands. Water bottle, your phone, a book that's close, a heavy candle, whatever it is, something to hold in your hand here. Now we're going to move on to this last part, which is hanging out down on the floor. Kind of. We're going to be working down here. So we're going to start off with this first exercise, working off with this timer for all of them. 45 seconds on, 15 seconds off. We'll be completing 3 rounds of this circuit. There are 3 exercises, but this first one's a single-sided one. So we're going to spend 45 seconds on one side, 45 seconds on the other, and then we have 2 more movements that we're going to do with it. That will be 1 round, and then we'll be doing 3 sets total. Keep in mind, if this is too challenging with the weight, and or if you don't have a weight, you can do this body weight. Okay, but ideally, I want to see if we can hold the weight up here like this. What we're going to do is work with this leg lift with this weighted crunch. So the weight itself is never going to go back behind our head. We want to squish our back down to the floor. Knee is bent up in the same side we're holding the weight. And then opposite leg is straight. And we're going to exhale, bring the leg up and crunch that weight up towards the foot. That's our rep. And we're going to be doing this for 45 seconds. So this hand is staying down on the floor and our shoulder blade is going to leave the floor on the side that's holding the weight only. We're going to try to keep this other one down on the floor. So I'm going to press start on this timer so that you don't waste any of that energy, those reps. And let's go. Let's do it. This is our first set. So again, that weight's going to stay up here, okay, unless you want to make this one feel more challenging, in which case lowering that weight behind your head, even a little bit, is going to add a lot to this one, okay? So try it without for the first set, but keep in mind if whatever you're holding is pretty light, or maybe you're not holding the weight at all, you're just working with your body weight, and you can try opening up and dropping that hand down behind you rather than leaving it lifted up, okay? 10 seconds left. Let's do it. All right, reaching up towards that foot. Exhaling as we crunch. Very nice. And rest. So we have 15 seconds, which is really not a lot of time to rest. It's mostly just time to switch, okay? So we're going to switch sides. Pass that dumbbell off into our opposite hand. Straighten out that opposite leg. Lower back is tight onto the floor, okay? We want no space there. And then again, we exhale and we'll crunch up to the center. So we want to make sure here that the shoulder blade stays down. So we're essentially sort of crunching up and over towards the center. We'll feel that going on there. Okay, 20 seconds left. Again, trying to exhale. Every rep you come up, that breath is pulling your shoulder off the floor. Very nice. 10 seconds left. Breathing through these ones. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Very good job. Okay, so we're going to put that weight down, put it aside, and flip on over into a plank position. So forearm plank, we're going to be going down with our parallel forearms, trying not to push our hands together, but rather have them separated. That is number 1. It's popping up into a plank right now. Your time has already started. Now, if you're good here, what we're going to do is lift the leg, okay, right side and then left side. If you're still good here, we're going to try to lift our leg and our arm. So opposite leg, opposite arm. We want to be in lots of control. So if your hips are tilting or shifting, then go back to just the leg. Or maybe just do just the arm. You don't have to add both in together right away, because it's pretty dang hard if I do say so myself. Hopefully I made it look easy. 10 seconds left. But for some of us, just simply holding a plank is going to be very challenging at this point in our lives. And rest. Okay, last one, we are going to sit up. So you can flip back over. I know a lot of flipping in this one. We're going to walk our hips back, so we're sitting right on our sit bones. Leaning back, no weights, no equipment. Lift up those legs, extend the arms, and we're going to move the arms up and down while maintaining this upright position the entire time. Now this one's kind of funny because it doesn't look like that it's that challenging, but just holding this position is hard. So if you need to, you can come back without moving the arms. And if we start to move the arms faster and more powerful, you'll see what happens, and try it out for yourself. Don't take my huffing and puffing for it. But if you do this, we're going to make it much harder to maintain this position, which again is the goal here. So the more powerful and forceful we are with moving our arms, the more challenging this one's going to be. 3, 2, 1, and rest. There you go. Smarter than it looks. All right, we're going to do it again. 2 more rounds, and then we're out of here. Okay, back to the first one, that weighted crunch, weighted crossover. So we want the knee, exhaling towards the center. And if you want to make it a bit more challenging, you can slightly drop the hand back. But we have to make sure that your lower back is tight down into the floor. All right, so we'll work through this one. Oh, yeah. Get the hairball on me. Halfway there, we have 20 seconds left. Okay, so again, back down. Trying to exhale, bring it together. There we are. 10 seconds left. Very nice. All right, and rest. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and move that dumbbell, switch it over because there's really not a lot of time to rest anyways. Okay, we'll pass it off. Set up that foot, that hand. Take a deep breath, and here we go. Onto our second set. Now, anytime we're doing any sort of crunch where we're lifting up the front here, especially when we're not having like our hands behind our head, we're probably going to feel some pressure and some tension in our neck because there's muscles that run down the front, the sides, and the back of our neck. That being said, it's important to train these muscles, especially if you're someone who's very prone to feeling that sort of neck pain when you go through core exercises or lay on your back like this. So we want to make sure that we're tucking our chin in so we're not poking our neck out forward. And again, if you need to, you can rest your head down between each rep. Or if you want to make it a bit harder, you can keep that head up there. But just keep in mind, rest, nice work, that you might feel a little tension in there. Okay, so put the weight down, hustling into the plank position as much as you might not want to. 3, 2, 1, and let's go. So again, we'll try to hold this plank as strong as we can. See if we can add in those lifts of the leg. Okay, if you're still good, you can add in our opposite arm. Woo, reach. But if you do find your hips are tilting, shifting, or if you actually fall out of it, then maybe don't do that. Okay, maybe just hold the plank. See if you can just lift the legs, because for lots of us, that is going to be pretty dang hard. Okay, 15 seconds left. We got this. We do the plank. Right, breathing through this. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right. A flip over onto our butts for this swimming V-hold. Technical term. I actually don't have a technical term for it, but this is a Pilates move. I know. Never done Pilates. It's way harder than it looks. Okay, so let's do it through the second set. Okay, we can have the palms up, palms down, does not really matter. Palms up is going to help us keep our chest up. So if you feel like you're sort of rounding over like this, open up the palms and it might help you stay more upright. Again, you need to stay here no matter what. So if you cannot keep going in these ones, take them a little slower, or you can simply just hold that position there, okay? 15 seconds left, featuring my brother's loud diesel truck out there. If you can hear it, if not, that's great. 10 seconds, let's go. Breathing. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay, second set. We have one more to go, and then we are out of here. Or, well, we might just be staying here because if you're staying home, that's okay. All right, back to this crunch. We'll pick up that weight, and here we go. Starting that next set. Working through our final round of these ones. So we'll make sure that shoulder blade is leaving the floor. This is it, my friends. Okay, so we'll try to breathe through these. Very nice. Get our back down tight onto the floor. It's quite challenging to do on this one, but it's very important that we do that. Let's get it. 10 seconds left. And there he goes. All right, let's do it. Breathing through these last final sets and rest. All right, so we'll switch over. Down. Take a deep breath. Straighten out that opposite leg. Lift that guy up. Ready or not, let's go. Let's do it. On this last third set. There we go. Okay, so home stretch, my friends. We got this one, and then 2 more. We are done here. 20 seconds left. Get this one in. Get that shoulder blade leaving the floor. 10 seconds. Feeling this in your core and your abs. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay, we're going to put the staff down, away to the side. Flip over into our plank position. Yep, and get ready to start. And hold that plank in 3, 2, 1, and let go. Let's do it. Plank, parallel forearms, at least a plank. Okay, trying to at least maybe give me a few leg lifts. They don't have to be consistent the entire time, okay, but try to get that leg up, get the other one up here and there so you're not just holding a static plank, unless that's all you can do, in which case you just stay there. Okay, don't give up on yourself. 20 seconds left. Okay, so again, trying to see if you can add in those leg lifts. And for those of you out there who are finding it easy, no problemo, we'll add in that opposite arm. Woo! 10 seconds left. There we go. Let's get it. 3, 2, 1. And the planking is done. Nice job. Okay, we're going to flip Aru into this V-hold position for this final one. We're going to walk the hips back. So we're sitting on the sit bones, not on the back of our butt, back of the tailbone. Deep breath. Legs up. We want the shins parallel with the floor, arms out. And we'll try to work with these, seeing if we can go a little faster. This one can be so challenging and it feels a little silly, but once you get it going on, you feel it all up in your core. We're going to get some work in the shoulders just from having to move those arms up and down. And hopefully all that distracts you from the fact that your burning core is working. 15 seconds left. Okay, again, we'll try to keep our chest up, breathe, not hold our breath as we go through this. Final 10 seconds, you got this. A little faster, a little bit more powerful, more arms. 3, 2, 1, and time. All right. We are done. Nice work. So we are going to stretch it out. Starting off with a stretch that we're going to do together, which is our bow and arrow stretch. So we did a variation in our warm-up. Now, come on down here and join me, laying on your side like this. We're going to take the top leg and weave it underneath the bottom, like so. Stack our arms, and then we'll exhale and cross the body, trying to have this hand and shoulder come down and touch the floor. Once we get here, we're going to take 2 deep breaths. So inhale, and then exhale. Try to sink into it. 2 of those. Inhale, exhale. Try to sink into it, and then we'll reach this arm up and over our head until we're back to the center. We're going to do that one more time. So again, big breath. We'll cross the body. If you feel really tight in this one, then I want you to release your legs and stack them rather than have them in that weaved under position. And then we'll, same thing, come over and hold. Big inhale, exhale twice. Okay, and then we'll reach up and over the head, hitting the plants, and then we'll do that on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to flip so that I can still see the screen here, but you can just turn around if you like, and we'll weave that leg under. Take a big inhale, and then we'll exhale and cross. If you have room, you can straighten out your arm, but I don't, so I'm just going to keep it bent over here. And then we'll take our breaths. Okay, reaching out and over. This one feels so good. After doing all that stuff today, feels good in general. And now is the perfect time to do it. So our body's nice and warm and loose from all of the stuff we did in our session. Okay, so we'll take those 2 breaths. And then we'll reset back to the center. And once you finish that one, the next one is for the glutes, the back of the hips. We're going to lay on our back and bend up our ankle on top of our knee. We'll reach through and pull that leg in. You can also position yourself close to a wall so that we can put this bottom foot here on the wall. I'm just going to hang out right here. Okay, and we're going to hold this one for 60 seconds on each side. Okay, We're going to do one set of this one and the next one together. If you would like to add in any other stretches and or complete more than one set of these ones that we're doing together, feel free to add them in at the end here. Okay, we're going to hang out here. Trying to, again, take those breaths. Now, when you inhale, you can think about filling the lungs, and then as you exhale, we think about sinking deeper into that stretch, or sort of relaxing into the stretch. So you should feel the hip get a little looser on that exhale. Okay, we're approaching the end of the minute. We have about 10 seconds left, so we'll take one more breath. All right, and then we'll switch sides. So we can release that leg. We'll bend up that opposite knee. Pull that guy in. And now we'll hold this other side for 1 minute. Okay, taking deep breaths the entire time, holding this here. Again, it should not be painful. You should just feel tension. If you are feeling quite tight in this position, and you can move yourself to a wall, or some of us might even feel this with just the foot on the floor without pulling in that leg. All right, we'll try to keep it even as to what we did on the first side. Okay, we have about 20 seconds left, hanging out in this one. Holding this here, okay. A couple more deep breaths, last 10 seconds. So we'll relax that one. The last one, we're gonna flip ourselves over, final one, onto the hands and the knees. I'm gonna leave you guys alone in this last one, but I'm gonna show you what's up. We're gonna do our cat-cow where we round our back and tuck our chin. And then we go into this one where we arch our back and look up to the ceiling. Now you can do anywhere between 3 to 5 to 10 of these, as many as you want. They're gonna help you loosen up your low back, upper back, and your core, which you might be feeling quite a bit after that stuff we did. So again, 3, 5, 10 of them, however many you like. And then once you're finished, we'll sit on the heels and walk the fingertips away. And then we can hang out here, taking about 10 deep breaths in this child's pose position, which is again going to help loosen up the back of our hips, low back, upper back. It feels dang good after doing that session that we just did. Okay, so I'm going to leave you guys here in that one to get through it. Thank you so much for joining me for another session in the comfort of your own home. I will be back tomorrow for upper body, and all week, of course. So thank you for joining me live, hanging out in the Zoom room. And if you are watching the replay, you can drop a comment below so I know you're here. Have a great day, my friends, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.